Cedric Maxwell Podcast is powered by PrizePicks, the exclusive daily fantasy partner of the CLNS Media Network.
All right, Max, we got a pair of Game 7s. We got Dallas looks like they're about to wrap things up soon. And we got another episode of Cedric Maxwell Podcast. I am Josue alongside Cedric Maxwell. The Celtics, they're going back to the Eastern Conference Finals. Can you believe it, Max? It's official. After eliminating the Cleveland Cavaliers after Game 5, impressive Game 5, Jason Tatum putting together his best performance of the series. Al Horford putting together his best performance of the year. And the Celtics are now waiting for the winner between the Indiana Pacers and the New York Knicks. But how are you feeling about that, Max, first and foremost?
Well, I'm happy to see that the Celtics were able to kind of put it together. They stumbled in Game 2, and people start freaking out again, just like they freaked out in Miami, and they went into Cleveland. They won Game 3, won Game 4, won Game 5 back in Boston, and that was a big deal. Cleveland, to their credit, they did not have hardly any of their weapons. Mobley put on the show. He was great. But, they didn't have Spida. He wasn't around. Karis LeVert wasn't around. Allen wasn't around. So this was a shell of a team, but the Celtics took care of business and won the game. At the end of the day, they don't put on your ring how close the other team is. They just say, okay, either you won or you didn't win.
Yeah, absolutely, Max. And of course, we'll talk about the Celtics moving forward. Which team would Max want the Celtics to face against? And also, we'll play. We're gonna bring back big deal or no big deal, something that we used to do. It's been a while. I think we did that last season a couple of times, but we'll bring back that game at the end before we wrap up this episode. But Max, can you think of a team that had a easier path to the Eastern Conference Finals, man? I mean, look at these injuries, man. No Mitchell for those last two games.
Are you falling into what everybody else is falling in on the national stage?
I'm just asking, Max. Have you seen an easier path?
As I asked them all the time, I've said the Celtics don't choose the team they play with. The other team put guys on the floor, and you play against that team. Now, to answer your question, I don't think I have. The Celtics could play a Miami team without Jimmy Butler, to turn around and play this Cleveland team without the Spida for a while, a couple of games. And I think the craziest thing about all that is, so you start looking at those two guys I named, Donovan Mitchell, will he be there in Cleveland next year? And then you said Jimmy Butler. Will he be moving someplace else, taking this talent away from South Beach? Here are some of the words that Pat Riley said. He can get an extension for, I don't know, it's 130, 140 million. It was something like $55 million or something. And Pat Riley said, look, we don't want to use our assets if we're not going to have a guy who's only going to play 55 games. And then Mitchell, who's been brilliant for Cleveland, has 1 year left on his contract, and he can opt out. So Cleveland has to think now, okay, what are we going to do? If he doesn't sign an extension, and they want to sign him to a max deal, if he doesn't sign an extension, what are we going to do? Are we going to trade him? More than likely, you're going to have to make some moves to trade him. And the places you hear people talking about is maybe the Lakers. Mitchell being out there. Cleveland has, I think the Lakers have a bunch of first-round draft picks. I know they want to get rid of some expiring contracts and move on beyond some of their players. So will he be a guy who would be would want to play with LeBron James and be in LA next year?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens during the offseason, man, because he's certainly at the top of the list in terms of players that could be on the move. And if you're the Los Angeles Lakers, man, you're welcoming any scenario that could bring in someone like Donovan Mitchell, because let's face it, man, they're getting to the point where there aren't a lot of Donovan Mitchells out there left, and that window of opportunity for these guys to win a championship is getting smaller and smaller, man. It's rough out there in the West, as they just found out from that first round exit beatdown that they got against the Nuggets.
Well, you start looking at the Lakers and you say, okay, look at the moves they've made over the years. of grabbing people and it not working.
Right.
You know, that we're going to get Westbrook. Westbrook is going to be, he's a guy. And we're going to send this player, that player away, and it hasn't worked. Anthony Davis, another guy. Obviously, that's kind of worked out a lot better for the Lakers, but yet still, you know, look at some of the pieces that they lost. One in particular, you start thinking about Brandon Ingram, who's become an all-star down in New Orleans. They had to give him up. So the Lakers are in flux. And on top of that, who the hell is going to coach the Lakers? I mean, I like Byron Scott's scenario, former player for the Lakers. He said, well, you know, LeBron James wants this, he wants that. Well, why doesn't he just be the damn coach? Why didn't he take the coaching position? It would be as unique, and I think he would probably know it. He knows the game as well as anybody. But man, that would just, I don't think anybody wants that wear and tear on their mind and their body and everything else that's to go along with it, if in fact he was a head coach of the Lakers.
Yeah, I don't think that. I don't put that on anyone, man. Like, not to diminish LeBron, who he is as a player, but that's just a big responsibility. And at this stage of his career, that's taxing. You know, that's a lot to ask of someone, especially in today's day and age with social media and all that. Like you said, Max, you know, all the talk that goes on with these players now. Imagine the kind of pressure that would bring on a player coach in 2024. So yeah, I can't wait and see. I mean, the list gets longer and longer, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. Yeah, we actually have a question for you during the big deal, no big deal.
You know what? I'm going to hit you with big deal, no big deal right now, with just one question.
You got? What?
The hat that Savannah James had on at the Cleveland game. Did you see that?
Oh, I gotta see it again, man.
Oh my God, man! It was the biggest freaking. It was like a sombrero. It was. She's a beautiful woman. I'm like, what the hell? What kind of hat was that? So, no big deal. You know what? You can have.
Hey, Max. That's post Mother's Day, man. You know, if that's what she was trying to rock, you gotta go with it.
I don't give a damn. It was Mother's Week, and like that was. If I was sitting behind her,
I gotta see this pic.
I mean, hey, but you know what? Why don't you pause for a minute? Find Savannah. No, put a pause on right now. Okay?
All right, let me see. Hold on one second.
You go Savannah James Hat.
Game 4. Let me see here. Oh, wow. Okay. Man, that almost reminds me of like those, T-Pain used to rock that joint. The big I ain't trying to say, I don't want to call it a circus hat, but you know what I mean? Like in the circus where they have this big hat.
Exactly. I mean, this is a beautiful woman.
How did I miss that?
Like, deal or no big deal. You're sitting behind her. What would you say?
That's a big deal. That's a big deal. Excuse me, miss. You mind real quick? Can you just, during the game, can you take that thing off? No disrespect, yo. No disrespect.
See the usher coming up, tapping on the shoulder. People behind you can't see.
Excuse me. You know, people, the whole row behind you, people, they can't see shit, man. Can you put it to the side?
Here's the funniest thing about it. The funniest thing about all that was, you know, she had to take that bitch off in the car. You know,
you're not getting in with that shit.
He couldn't drive because damn, that was a big
even the biggest SUV, you can't see shit. Yeah, that's a good point.
I saw coming in the game. I'm like, wow, there's LeBron. I'm like, what in the world? What is that? And now look, Savannah, she's such a beautiful woman. Beautiful. Let me let you
yeah, her face is tucked in all the way into you can barely see her face.
I was like, I couldn't even see her head. It was like I just see her eyes and like she was under something.
Damn, that's fur too. That's got to be fur. That's fur.
Exactly, and it was 79 degrees in Cleveland that day.
That was the hottest day of the weekend. You're right.
How about this? You had to have the fucking AC blasting in that
car. Just to pull off the look, she's sitting there like, yo, crank that up, yo. It's hot in here. It's hot in here.
Oh, okay. Let's
got like back. 80-degree head.
Yo,
all right, you're right.
Okay, let's try to get back. But
that's a great big deal or no big deal. All right, I'll give you that one. Okay. That's a big deal. That's a big deal.
Let's get back to that. Get back to where we were, but that was just.
All
right. Episode of the Cedric Maxwell podcast is powered by PrizePicks, America's #1 fantasy sports app with more than 3 million members. It's the easiest and most exciting way to get in on the action while you watch your favorite sports and players. You just pick more or less and 2 or more player stats and watch the winnings roll in. Get in on the playoff action and win up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks as you and the world's best players take the game to a new level during basketball's postseason. Quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, and an enormous selection of players and stat types are what makes PrizePicks the #1 sports app. This week on PrizePicks, I'm selecting Derek White for more than 4.5 assists and Kristaps Porzingis for more than 8.5 rebounds. It's that easy. Download the app today and use the code CLNS for a first deposit up to $100. That's CLNS for a first deposit up to $100. Download PrizePicks today and make sure you use the promo code CLNS.
All right, before we do big deal, no big deal, Knicks, Pacers, Game 7. I'm not surprised that this thing is going 7. It really, like what the Indiana Pacers did Friday night didn't surprise me at all. Wasn't even close. That doesn't surprise me. But going into this Game 7, Josh Hart and his injury, his projection, is he going to be on? What's he going to look like in Game 7? That worries me a little bit for this Knicks team, man, because they're already shorthanded enough. How you feel about them going into Game 7?
Hey, this is. I'm not a Monty Python guy, but I guess it's some segment where a black knight is fighting and he chop off his arm. He's like, "Oh, that's just a flesh wound." And chops off the leg and he said, and then finally at the end, all he had was a head. I mean, that's
Donovan right now.
That's crazy.
I mean, he's banged up too. He's nowhere near 100%.
I mean, and you keep talking about the possibility of the series. What happens if New York wins and the Celtics are at full man, have all their pieces, and the Knicks don't have any? I mean, who are the Knicks missing right now? That's what you start looking at. Who are the Knicks missing?
Julius Randle, Mr. Robinson,
McDonovan.
OG. Is OG gonna be? Oh yeah, there's another one. Yeah,
not gonna allow him to play. Bogdanovich.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, now you're talking about Josh Hart. So
Josh
you're talking about 5 players who play significant minutes for the Knicks who will not be around. So if you're the Celtics, an easier path would be if you played New York. I thought New York would be the hardest because, their attitude, their cockiness, their arrogance, all that stuff that goes wrong with the Knicks. But man, they've just lost too many pieces to me. I just don't see them beat. I don't see them beating Indiana. I don't see them beating Indiana. Indiana is deep, and they have so many guys right now. They're throwing at Brunson. So New York, how do you compete? I mean, Tibbs has done a great job to get it to 7, but now to go home. That Garden crowd is going to have to push you like hell to get over that finish line because they know, because Brunson's been battling. He's been battling, and, Devin Chinzo, he's.
Yeah, they need a big one from Dante, man. Yeah.
I mean, Dante, where he's at, I just don't know where you get it. I don't know where you get the points. I don't know where you get I don't know where you get it. They've been rebounding like hell. But one of their best rebounders has been Josh Hart.
Yeah.
16, 17 rebounds in the game. Yeah. He's probably not going to play because the way he was doubled over and it was his ab area, how's he going to play? So I just think this whole thing the dream that you want, the dream that my broadcast partner Sean Grady wants, the New York Knicks, I just can't see it happening. And if it does, it's going to be only a shell of what it could be. But Celtics are going to play whoever they're going to play. So I think that's pretty much it.
Second half Brunson, man. That's the only way I really see this thing happen. If he goes off, puts the team on his back, Max, it might have to look like that. But they have to defend. That's the thing. They have to defend at a high level. They can't let this thing get out of hand because the Pacers can put up a lot of points. And these guys barely scratched 100, in that last game. And towards the end of that, obviously it was already a blowout. And they had a hard time putting up 100 points. I mean, that's not going to cut it. So honestly, between that, Dante going off, maybe you get something out of that. But the defense is what worries me, especially up front. It's getting thin, very thin.
Achua,
there's Precious and Hartenstein. That's it. That's their front. Those are their bigs.
That's it. I mean, you don't have any place else to go. I just don't, and I just think that you look at what the Pacers have right now, and they've been taking the ball to the basket. And
Pascal's been on.
Pascal's been unbelievable, and Connell, he's been great, and he's battling Brunson tooth and nail. He seems like he's that competitor that wants to get up, and he's not big enough to slow him to stop block his shot, but he's quick enough to stay on the ball and at least to challenge the shot.
How do you feel about that potential matchup against the Celtics, considering Kristaps Porzingis most likely not going to start the series? That's slated to kick off in Boston Tuesday night at TD Garden. You got Miles Turner up front. You got Topham. You got some bigs up front. How do you feel about a potential matchup against the Celtics without Porzingis?
Yeah, that's going to be it make it a lot tougher. I think the Celtics are still capable of winning a series without Kristaps, but the sooner he gets back, the better. That's going to be from a shape standpoint to get back in game condition. I think you and everybody else is that you haven't even seen Kristaps play 5-on-5 yet.
That's what scares me. Yeah.
So because of that, how do you roll these dice? What dice do you have? I mean, Miles Turner has played great against the Celtics. He's a big body. Are you pulling again, or are you still riding Al Horford for another series? That's essentially what you're saying to me. Although I like Luke coming off Cornette. I like him being a guy coming off the bench, competing at a high level at that position. The Celtics still like they have more weapons than possibly anybody right now in the East.
Yeah. No question. I think the bench has. I don't want to say they've gotten stronger, but I feel like guys like Pritchard have stepped up. Cornette. I mean, from the moment Kristaps went down, I feel like they sort of taken on more of responsibility. I guess is the best way to put it. And Cornette, man, that first game, it was like 2 blocks in the first 2 minutes. Remember that? Like coming off the bench. I mean, I think they could survive that approach, without Porzingis to begin the series. But if we're talking about deep into the series, going into the finals and all that, they're going to eventually need Kristaps. But I think this is the right thing to do. Take your time. You don't want to rush this thing. You want to make sure he's going to be all right. So, but yeah, we're talking about almost 3 weeks now. We spoke briefly last night, Max, about it. And I'm like, man, it's been almost 3 weeks. So hopefully we'll see him continue to progress. I like what I saw out in Cleveland when he's in the post and all that. But like I said, until we see him doing the 5-on-5 up and down the floor with the rest of his guys, that's when I know he's close.
So did you see him just warming up out there?
He was working in the post. He was working his post moves. So the footwork and
he was out on the floor working.
He was out on the floor, right, which was a step up from what we saw at the Auerbach Center before we left for Cleveland.
How do you think he looked?
He looked good. He looked much better. I thought at the Auerbach Center he was still very, like he was just still trying to get the rhythm down, but he looked much more fluid. They had the Bad Bunny going. I guess he's a big Bad Bunny fan. And Derek White joked, "Hey, whatever we can do to help," he said. "If this pushes things along quicker, man, Well, we can blast Bad Bunny for you, man. So they did that as he finished his workout.
Coming on in your era right now. What is it? I don't understand that. Where do you come up with like a Bad Bunny?
Bad Bunny.
Bad Bunny.
It was his nickname growing up in Puerto Rico. Well, the bunny part, I think he just added the bad. They used to call him like Bunny. It's a long story, but yeah, that's how you got his name.
Where's this Puerto Rican thing going right now? Bad Bunny.
This Puerto Rican thing. You mean reggaeton? You mean the genre?
Hold on. Bad Bunny, Big Poppy.
I see what you say.
That's what I'm not talking about that way. I'm talking about names that you have these guys. Yeah, that's like okay.
I know, and Bad Bunny came from when he was a kid. So that's funny. You would think he got that name once he became popular in the States, but that's his name. Well, Porzingis loves it, man. Porzingis loves reggaeton, man. He's a big fan. All those time spent in Spain, you know.
Wow. I'm saying you got me back thinking about. We always.
You gotta ask him next time you see him, yo. Let's bump some Bad Bunny, yo. Tell him next time you see Kristaps, yo, I want to hear some Bad Bunny.
Do you think Brunson's head could have fit, that girl's hat? Do you think that?
Yo, you better leave that girl alone. You better watch it. You better mess around. This thing's gonna go viral. Post Mother's Day, yo. Leave that woman alone, Max. Leave her alone.
Look, just so I said she's a beautiful woman, but that hat was.
That was wild. I'm surprised I missed that, man. I had to look that up. That was
everybody
crazy.
You missed it. Everybody at the game. There were 20,000 people there looking right. And
you know what? I'm glad
they had her on camera.
I was gonna say, you know what? I'm glad you're bringing this back up because it's a perfect segue into big deal or no big deal. All right, let's do it, Max. First one up, and I swear it's the first one. I just can't make this up. LeBron James, I didn't mention his wife, but LeBron James attended Game 4 of the Cavs and Celtics series. Of course, LeBron has a player option for the upcoming year. When asked about it after the Lakers were eliminated, he gave the classic, I'm thinking about my family. I want to spend time with my friends, yada, yada, yada. AKA, you find out when you find out. But is this a big deal or no big deal, Max? Could there be a potential reunion in the works between the Cleveland Cavaliers and LeBron James? What do you think?
Well, if you're the Cavaliers, do you want to sign Bronny to a contract? Because everybody's been talking about that.
I think they should. I think they should look into it.
Bronny James at 6'1" is not a good shooter. He's a decent shooter, small, not the facilitator everybody thinks he should be. So, and I was Mark Spears and talked to a couple of guys who were scouts. And the scout said, no. He talked to him the first day. He said, I'm not really sure. I wouldn't. Then he talked to him the third day after he saw Bronny James and said, no, he's not meant to be for the NBA. His talent level is exceptional for what he can bring to the table because of his size being small at 6 foot. He's 6'1.5" in the NBA. That's tough. I mean, that's tough. Donovan Mitchell is like 6'4". Some of these guys are 6'5". So as a guard, what happened to Kemba? Kemba was 6'1", and every time you looked around, they were picking on Kemba defensively. So it's just it would be tough. So if you talk about LeBron being at the Cavs game, I don't think it was a big deal. He said him and his wife were actually in Cleveland, in Akron for Mother's Day. They went to see their mothers. So I don't see a big deal. And but the only thing about it, LeBron has always been calculated. So for him to step on that floor, maybe I shouldn't get too carried away by saying no big deal.
Well, I'm thinking no big deal because I think it's like you said. I think it's more of a calculated type of little wink at the Lakers. Hey, this is always a possibility as well, something like that. But does he go through with it? I don't think so. But he's gonna make people like us talk about it, and here I am bringing it up. So there's that. All right. According to a report out of Yahoo Sports, Kristen Peak reports that Bronny James is climbing up recent mock drafts, and the Utah Jazz, with the 32nd pick in the 2024 draft, are interested. That's right. Our old friend Danny Ainge. Big deal or no big deal?
I don't. No big deal. I just don't see Danny guarding the guy for small size. And LeBron James keeps saying how he wants to play with his son. If his son goes to Utah, are you going to follow him? Are you going to leave L.A. to go to Salt Lake City?
I think Danny's calling his bluff. I think he would call his bluff, honestly.
Are you committed to that? And I love LeBron James. Love him. But at this point in his career, LeBron James has to take a back seat. And he might even want to take a back seat. He said that before with Anthony Davis. But the majority of the time, players are going to push that legend ahead of them. And so if you have a young team, what I'm saying, if you have a young team like Cleveland, like Salt Lake City, I think you impede their progress. LeBron James would be better off with a veteran team that would not defer to him.
Yeah, man, I think it's a big deal because if you're Danny, you go for it and just see what happens. You got a whole stack of future first and future second round. Why not throw one for Bronny? And if it means a deal where you can collect more assets or a star, let's do it, man. Like, he's in a great position right now. You know, it's kind of a.
What are you gonna get?
It's a win-win.
What win-win do you see if you get Bronny? What win-win?
Another organization thinking that that's their way to get LeBron James. You know, and if Utah could even stir that type of conversation with LeBron, if you're Danny, I think you roll the dice.
I mean, don't you look at Giannis's brother being right there in Milwaukee? What does he do for Giannis while he's there?
I know, that's true. Not much. He actually needs surgery, Maxwell. Wish him well, Thanasis. He hurt his Achilles, I want to say. Was it Achilles?
Doing what?
Yeah, I know. I know. That's been the joke on social media. Maybe he got up too quick when he was, getting everybody hyped up for something. I don't know. So, hey, that joke writes itself, man. But yeah, I'm with you, man.
So I don't know this whole, get Bronny's son, get LeBron's son to get Bronny to do what? Yeah. I mean, it just doesn't fit.
I'm just glad the Celtics aren't involved with that type of mess. You know what I mean? Like that's what I'm. Because again, teams that don't have a whole lot to lose, I get it. But other teams that are in the mix, championship contenders, they're out of it, and that's the way it should be. That's the way it should be.
Playoff time, there is nothing like it. I mean, the energy, the effort amps up a good 50 to 75% compared to the regular season. And that's why you want to go to Gametime, the authorized ticket marketplace of the NBA. Now, they make getting playoff tickets even faster and easier. And here's the deal with the Gametime app. The prices of those tickets go down the closer you get to tip-off. They've got killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, and you can also get the view from your seats with the lowest price guaranteed. Gametime takes the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets. So here's what you should do. You download the Gametime app and you browse it, and you can see that you can get Celtics and Bruins playoff tickets for less than $150. And again, the closer to Gametime you get, the lower the ticket price is. These are terrific deals for big-time postseason games. Last-minute deals. Save up to 60% off buying last-minute sports, concert, comedy, theater tickets. All in pricing. Toggling this feature shows that the total up front with no surprise fees at checkout and also the lowest price guarantee. Or Gametime will credit you 110% of the difference. Your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticket industry. So, take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets at Gametime. Download the Gametime app. Create an account. Use the code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code CLNS and get $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices, guaranteed.
All right, next up, J.J. Redick among 3 top targets for the Lakers head coach position. Sam Cassell is one. The other one is James Borrego. Used to coach the Hornets for years. This is out of the Athletic reporting that. JJ, the sharpshooter, co-host of Mind of the Game podcast alongside LeBron James. Big deal or no big deal, Max?
This one,
Yo, you've been shaking your head at every single one.
This one makes me scratch my head. It makes me scratch my head. Because
this one's crazy, man.
This is crazy because I love JJ Redick as a broadcaster. I love his podcast.
Same.
I love what he. But as a head coach in this league, who's never been a head coach, and putting him into one of the most difficult situations that you can be in, and then have one of your best friends trying to coach him, how do you chew his ass out? I think you know, one of the greatest point guards ever became a head coach with no experience. His name was Steve Nash. How'd that work out for everybody? Never coached a game. Was a consultant, and then all of a sudden you just made him a head coach. I don't know. It would, for me personally, I would love to see that circus right now go to Los Angeles.
The Celtic in you want to see this mess. Max is like, where's my popcorn at? Let me make a bad popcorn.
Look, only that kind of shit could be in Hollywood. You think of that. You think of that. The only kind of shit, that's the only place it can be. Because JJ,
absolutely.
So he is so opinionated. He speaks all. He goes back and forth with this stuff. He's kind of went at backhanded, slap LeBron James, and then turn around and slap Bob Cousy and those great.
Oh, that's right. He did say that shit.
It's like, so what happens if somebody start asking you those questions again? I mean, he's been able to defend himself, but man, that just.
Yeah, but Max, he's never. You said. You talk about head coach.
Oh, that's Jurassic Park right there. Jurassic Park 6. That's what that is. Rambo 29. You know, whatever you want to put out there. If you have all that stuff in one room, that powder keg in one room.
There's a blockbuster right there. Blockbuster hit.
Give JJ some advice. JJ, sit in your seat, man. Play your role. Sit in your seat. Do TV. Collect that check for a long time, brother.
Yeah, man.
I don't know if you want that hot seat right now. That that frying pan that's out there in LA is like crazy.
Oh, I was gonna say, Mac, you talk about head coaches. He's never been an assistant.
No.
He hasn't even, spent a couple of years at Duke, his alma mater, kind of get that experience on the bench. He's got no experience.
Steve Nash, exactly.
Yeah.
Did not have the experience, came in and did this, and you're like, it didn't work there. So all of a sudden you think now it's going to work with one of the most chaotic, Frank Vogel. And won the championship. They have played well. Then you think about all the other coaches which came after him. You're going, okay, this guy got to the Western Conference Finals, and you fire him. That's just not an interesting job to me. If I'm out there looking for a coaching position.
Right. Yeah, no, I'm with you, Max. And like you said, man, he's been crushing it with the podcast, with the experience on ESPN as an analyst and all that. Like, he's got a long future ahead of him, and he don't need to jump into this mess, man.
No,
you don't need that those kind of problems.
That JJ Redick is smarter than this, and I don't know who they're gonna get as a coach out in LA, but as someone would say, good luck.
What about Sam? You think Sam Cassell could get it? You would hate to see it though. That's the thing. I knew it. I knew you would say that shit.
I would hate that percent. Coming from a situation here in Boston, which things have been smooth and tranquil, to go out to be the head coach of the Lakers.
It's a tough gig.
Tough gig, man. That is,
tough gig.
You talk about stuff right now. I end up having a pair of. I'll show you this real quick off camera. I'll bring it back. Got? I just got these. Watch this advertisement.
Oh man, they got the specs. You got
the Carousel glasses, man. He gave
the Carousel. You got the Carousel joints.
Yeah.
Hey.
Carousel glasses. So, I hope the brother luck. I would love for him, because one thing you look at Sam.
Can I just say, he's the first assistant coach I've ever seen ink a endorsement deal. That's what's up, man. He got the commercial down and everything. Look at you.
The thing I say about Sam, which is crazy to me, is like I start looking at him going, his window of opportunity is closing. So he might have to take a job like that.
Yeah, I agree.
He's 50. I think I was just looking at Sam is 58 or 59 years old, or it's something like that. And if you don't get those coaching jobs early in your career, in your 40s, 30s, your opportunities are very small. So, man, with Sam being there, I don't know. I should just keep this up like the legend.
Hey.
So we'll see.
Looking good. Yeah, man, we'll see. But that'd be great if you get a head coaching job. I mean, even if it's not the Lakers, maybe something else out there. But the Lakers, I don't know, man. It'd be one of those situations where I think he could. He's the player's coach for sure.
I wouldn't want to put him in. I would want him to have a team that isn't on the hot seat immediately. I don't think that's the job for your first coaching gig. That's a tough one right there. Tough one.
Right. And if he were to get the position, he'd be the second assistant coach to be named as head coach for another team, as Charles Lee accepted the head coaching job over in Charlotte, the Charlotte Hornets. So congrats to him. He'll, of course, stick with the Celtics throughout the rest of the playoffs, and he'll begin next season down in Charlotte. All right, last one, Max. Big deal, no big deal. Paul Pierce, on a recent episode of Undisputed, slipped up and said the N-word, man. Said it to Keyshawn Johnson. At least it wasn't to Skip Bayless, but Skip Bayless, his whole body language was like, I am not comfortable right now. You see Skip? Big deal or no big deal? Paul Pierce slipping up on live television.
Paul Pierce is like the Teflon Don. He's got it. Things just don't stick.
He's gonna be all right. No big deal.
He's gonna be all right. But I think the example is exactly what you said with Paul. He forgot where the fuck he was at. He thought he was doing his podcast.
He thought he was kicking it with KG. Yeah. We talked about it before we hit record. That's right.
Everything goes. But when he was with, he just forgot. He had a brain fart.
As soon as he said, look at this, as soon as he said it, he just paused for a second and he just kept talking, which is the right thing to do. You don't acknowledge it, just keep going. Skip wanted to say something, but he's like, man, if I bring it up, we all gotta talk about it for at least a minute. So he's like, everyone just
look, they you can't do
that shit was hilarious.
You can't do it on the air. But I like how I say, look at these niggas. Look at this nigga.
Yeah, what would Granny say?
Oh.
What would Granny say if you slipped up? Yeah, we'd be the ones missing out on the facial expression, man. But man, to see that on camera would be hilarious.
Oh my God. It's past whatever. It is past whatever.
Hold on, what would he say? What would he say though? Come on, Max.
I don't even know.
The first time out. The first time out. What was he saying?
I think first you would hear awkward silence, and which is even a killer on the radio, makes it that much worse. So I don't know, man.
You just hear the sneakers squeaking and all that. No one's saying nothing.
I don't even. Ooh, don't put that. Don't put that word in my mind, okay? Look at that.
Yeah, man. 2024, I think it's no big deal. But if this was like 20 years ago, oh man, I don't know. Paul he might lose one of his gigs. He might have lost one of his gigs.
Wait a minute, you had Cedric Maxwell saying bacon and eggs, and I was mocking Tommy. I wasn't even talking about I really wasn't talking about the woman, but I was
right. But
Tommy.
If you said that today, though, you know it'd be worse.
Oh God.
But you're right though. It wasn't. You were not even quoting someone else, but you were pretending to be someone else. Technically, that's right.
I wasn't right, exactly. I was mocking Tommy Hanks.
Tommy used to say some borderline stuff too. Remember what Tommy used to say too?
He used to go off on the female official.
Yeah.
The referee. And the funny thing about it was this. It was this spring, early spring. I did a St. Patty's Day. I was a grand marshal at a parade in Cranston, Rhode Island, I think.
Oh, okay.
And it's the world's shortest parade. It's 84 feet. And so I ended up doing the parade, and then I did the game afterwards. But during the time I was signing autographs, and a woman comes in. I really didn't pay much attention. I was signing the autograph. And then she had me sign this jersey. Well, the jersey actually was a referee's jersey, and it was worn by Violet Palmer. And I said, "Oh
wow!"
So I guess she has a story. I mean, very much like Larry Bird and Dr. J, the famous pose where they're around each other's throat and all that stuff.
Oh yeah, they won't sign that. Huh?
Larry will not sign that picture, and Dr. J won't sign that picture. So it's just kind of crazy.
That's right, guys. For people who don't know, yeah, something that happened a while back. But yeah, well, she was the only female referee at the time, right? And now there's a few.
Well, she was not the only one. She had refereed, but
No, but I thought she was the only female, right? Oh, there's other ones. Oh, okay.
No, I think there were other. There was a couple other female referees, but she was doing that game in Houston, and they made a couple of bad calls. They and I just praised her. I said, "Man, great call. She did." Great calls. And then the next call she made was a mistake. And I just mocked Tommy Hanks, and I said, Go. And I did his voice.
In their voice.
In the heads. And the next day, I get Jeff Fitz, who I love to death, who was a PR person for the Celtics, said, we just wrote an apology for you. I said, apology for what?
You had no idea. That was the last time you thought about what you said. You didn't even think you said anything.
No idea. We wrote an apology for you. I said, for what? He said, what you said about Violet Palmer. I said, let me sit back. I said, what did I say about Violet Palmer? And he said, you said the thing about bacon and eggs. I said,
bacon and eggs.
Oh my God. And so I had to come back to give a public apology.
Max was like, Tommy said that.
I had to give a public apology. And one of our fans was at the game. She's like, I heard what you said about the that was nice.
Oh man.
That was that. That's what I'm saying. Those things come back to haunt you. But Paul Pierce seemed like that. He breezes right through this thing. He'll be all right. You'll see.
Yeah.
You'll see him at game 1, game 2, game 4, whatever games we have in the Garden. Paul Pierce will be there, sitting right beside the ownership group.
I wonder if they addressed it on the next episode, but they probably didn't. I know he addressed it with KG on their next episode. He said, I didn't say that word. That's what he said. He didn't. He said something else. But he was joking, of course.
Oh, you just accept it and you move on. Said, if I was him, I'd have made fun and said, damn, dude, I thought I was with you. That's what I did. That's how you and I talk. And I just had a lapse. My mind did not go to where it should have gone. So,
yeah. He looks comfortable up there, though. You know, he's different compared to ESPN. So I just think that's what it is, man. He's been doing Showtime so long that, yeah, he forgot where he was at. But anyways, that's going to do it. This episode of the Cedric Maxwell podcast, guys. We appreciate you guys tuning in, of course. Like, subscribe. We got plenty of great episodes ahead as the Celtics continue on into the Eastern Conference Finals. And I'm sure we have plenty of guests, of course, between now and throughout the run. Max, you got anything before we bounce?
That's it, brother. Make sure if you wear a hat, make sure it's a small one if you go to an arena.
yeah. Think about the row behind you. Damn it.
Think about your fellow patrons behind you.
For real. He's Cedric Maxwell. I am Josue Pavone. We'll see you guys next week.
Josue Pavone here, CLNS Media, and if you made it this far, that means you really like this video. So hit subscribe, make sure you keep our notifications on, damn it, and we got plenty of great content coming your way.